All right, so this is about my personal journey to Postgres, to the project, as well as to the PGCA Board of Directors. And without a clicker, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. And so it's specifically a talk about PGCA, and one of the things you're going to notice in this talk is I've got a QR code on the screen. And that's because just in case, while I'm presenting, you or your boss or your company decide that you want to donate to support the work that the PGCA nonprofit does, I'm going to make sure this QR code is always available to you so that you can support the work that we do. So wait, you're wondering, what is the PGCA? What is this board of directors that's been chartered by the Postgres core team? Well, there's this concept in the Postgres project of recognized nonprofit organizations. And a few of the ones that you may have heard of before are like Postgres Europe, PG US. There's a new one in Canada called Salonic Events Canada that does all the invisible work behind the scenes to support the annual PGConf.dev developer event. And PGCA is one of these kind of recognized nonprofits. And what's interesting about the nonprofits and all the volunteer work in Postgres is it's kind of invisible. Like when I first joined the project, I had no idea how much work goes behind amazing events like this. There is so much work that the organizers have done to pull this off. And in the case of PGCA, our mission is to maintain and protect the trademark assets, the brand assets, so things like domain names and trademarks. And so it matters because you want to ensure that the Postgres trademarks are being used in fair use kind of ways, right? You don't want someone confusing users by calling something Postgres that isn't, for example. And we want to keep Postgres free and open source. And so I said this would be a bit of a personal journey. Does anybody recognize what this is a photograph of? Anybody? Okay, it's Taipei, Taiwan, and it's where I was born. But that's not where my journey in Postgres really began. It was not a foregone conclusion that I would be working in Postgres. So this is a picture of where I studied applied mathematics and computer science when I was at university, but I didn't even take a database class when I was in college. So that's not where my journey into Postgres began. So it probably began when I joined a San Francisco startup called Citus. My daughter took that photo, actually. It's a beautiful Golden Gate Bridge in the San Francisco Bay. And there's also a QR code on the screen. Either way, just in case any of you decide your boss, or your company want to make a donation. Or maybe my journey began when I went to my very first big Postgres community conference, which was in Lisbon in 2018. And that's when I first met people who worked in the Postgres community. Fast forward, the next year, Microsoft acquired Citus Data, and fast forward a few more years, my family started sailing in the Greek islands every summer for a week, the Dodecanese, the Cyclades, the Dodecanese. I'm still not part of PGCA yet. It's 2024. I've been working with the PGCA to secure a no-cost trademark license on Microsoft's behalf, because the podcast that used to be called Path to CitusCon, we wanted to have Postgres in the name because it was about Postgres and it was about Postgres people, and we wanted to call it Talking Postgres, but that's not fair use. And so we needed this no-cost trademark license. So I've been working with the board to get this license negotiated. It wasn't that hard. And I was getting ready to go to PG Day Chicago. I was going to give a talk there. And Jonathan Katz sent me an email. And he asked if I had time to meet with him in Chicago. And, I should have been like, oh, sure, that'd be great. But instead I thought, oh, damn, what did I do? Did I make a mistake? Did I screw something up? Is he not going to give me my trademark license? Like, what's going on? But in fact, it was a very positive thing. Jonathan's pretty wonderful. And he invited me to join the board of directors and serve the community by helping to protect our trademark assets. And I'm still learning the ropes. There's a lot to do. The people whose names are on there that I serve with have been doing this for years, and they're phenomenally talented, and it's important work. So we protect PostgreSQL, Postgres, and the Salonic elephant that you see behind me to make sure that these things are used fairly, and make sure that the names are not misused in domain names either, and we provide these no-cost licenses to people who want to use these trademarks in non-fair use ways. So the two things you should all know is there is a Postgres trademark policy. If you want to call something with the word Postgres in it, go check out that trademark policy. It's on PostgreSQL.org. You can learn more about it. You should also know that we're fundraising, and there's a QR code on the screen in case you or your boss or your company decide that you want to support our efforts to protect, in this nonprofit, the Postgres trademarks. And I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of PGConf India, and I hope you enjoy your Postgres journeys.